Good morning, everybody. We're here with Matt Haasen, and he owns Blue Con, but he's also involved in our development out at Lakewood in Strathmore. So Matt, how'd you become a ditch digger?
How did I become a ditch digger? Well, it's a longer story, and I'll try and keep it a little condensed. But my parents were immigrants from Holland. There's another fella that also immigrated. His family immigrated around the same time, and we became neighbors in Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
My dad died when I was 11, and he kind of took me under his wing.
Okay.
And I was the youngest of 6 kids. Most of our family members, we all worked in his construction company.
Yeah.
He'd bring home loaders. I'd work on his loaders on the weekend there. I'd cut his lawn. I would do anything to drive on something with a motor.
Yeah, of course.
And at some point there, I veered off and went to college, and he started 2 siblings and some partners out here in Calgary.
Yeah.
Ontario was going through a bit of a recession. Calgary was booming. He sent equipment out, and eventually I made my way out here as well after college.
So I understand, I heard you say one time that your mom said to you, you're going to end up as a ditch digger, and it became true, but I guess she was right that you were going to do it. But I guess the thing that's really true in life is if you're going to become something, do it real well, and you'll be successful.
True, you know, and I sometimes use that as a bit of an icebreaker in a crowd there, where as a kid, I had a lot of fun, and when I did focus a little bit there, your mother, the old adage there, you're not going to become anything more than a ditch digger.
Yes, I have heard that.
And you know what? Well, it's kind of worked out, Mom.
Yeah,
kind of worked out, Mom.
Yeah. So now, obviously, I'll explain, because you and I know what you do, but you put in all the deep services, which is the water, the sewer, the sanitary, and you take it someplace. So how did you get into Lakewood? How did that happen, or what was your decision to get doing some development?
The development, so the construction has been our bread and butter. We're in our 45th year here at Blue Con. So that's been the bread and butter.
Yeah.
I'm going to say somewhere around the 25 years ago, there was another development we were doing on the east side of Strathmore.
Yeah.
And the developer didn't pay us.
That always sucks.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
And so there was a few of us that were owed money that took over the development. It wasn't a hostile takeover. He says, "Here, please take it over. It's yours," kind of thing. And so we continued with that subdivision. We finished it off. We didn't make a ton of money, but we had a little money, and then we rolled it into another subdivision at Strathmore, Hillview, which is kind of across the canal from Lakewood. You're familiar with?
Yeah.
And we did Hillview, and I think the last phase of Hillview was somewhere around 2009, 2010, when that whole market crash thing was happening there. So we had trouble selling the last phase, but we had done okay. And then back to our presence in Strathmore there, this land where the town used to have its own water treatment plant on that property.
Yeah.
And so they had a big water body that was fed by the canal. They took the water out of the canal, purified it, shipped it out, and that was their distribution system. They were somewhere around, 10, 15 years ago, they shipped water out from Calgary. They put in a pipeline from Calgary all the way to Strathmore. And this property became redundant, I guess. They didn't need the water treatment plant anymore.
Okay.
Came up for sale. We were in the loop pretty close because we had our presence in Strathmore there. We put in a proposal, put in a bid, and we were the successful proponents, I guess, in taking it on.
Okay, so really, because you guys are, you and Bernie are so involved, and Neil are so involved in that process, you kind of know all the ins and outs. How much is it going to cost to get everything done, and that's your focus.
I think so. It's like, it's like the Harvard University I say I went to there, the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
And you learned a lot by trial and error.
Sure.
You know, you didn't hit it out of the park every time. You made mistakes.
Yeah.
We had some different partners in Lakewood initially, and one passed away.
Yeah.
One had some health issues and, you know, stepped aside.
Yeah.
So it kind of left Neil and I, and you mentioned Bernie and Kevin and fellows whose offices are Earth Moving Company lived across the road, and
Contour
Earth Moving. And you know what? We were sitting in this very room one day where some other developer was trying to get us involved, trying to get us to put a bunch of money in, and then we could do the work and, you know, reap some of the benefits, but a very small portion. Yeah. And after that fella,
doesn't sound good. A small portion.
Well, it didn't. And after the fella left, I says, "Can you guys just wait a little, wait here?" And I said, "I've got a deal for you." And so we kind of brought them into Lakewood. Okay. They said kicking and screaming, but I don't think it really was kicking and screaming.
Yeah, but they have to have that to show you that they're just not as interested as you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And it's a great partnership. You know, like I'm kind of that handshake guy. Where, you know, like they say they're going to do it, you're going to do it. I expect that you're going to do it if you say you're going to do it.
I've noticed that about you, and I actually appreciate it because it's a bit rare now. And I had people say to me, Scott, it's not a spit and a handshake anymore. You got to do this and you got to do that. And I just don't believe that. I believe that if you have integrity, handshake is good enough. Working out all the fine details is a little bit more important, but in the end, you tell me what you want, I'll tell you if I can do it, and away we go.
I think you got to kind of pick your partners so that you can do that with as well, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Others you might want a little more paper.
That also makes sense. So now, before you got into excavating, you were going to be a helicopter pilot.
I was. If any of you out there are as old as I am there, and you had back in the day a black and white television with 2 channels and rabbit ears on the top to get those 2 channels, somewhere in high school I must have had a channel that had to show the helicopter on the TV, and the bug bit me. I don't know what happened. The bug bit me, and I wanted to be a helicopter pilot. There were a couple obstacles in the way. I had no money.
One.
And, you know, I tell people, I wrote letters to all the helicopter companies out there, the training schools, and they all replied in, you know, letters, not email, letters. And they all wanted, you know, they all said, "Come on down.
Sure.
Just bring a wad of money with you." And
we'd love to help you.
We'd love to help you out there. And again, it wasn't an issue. So but you know what? I guess, like, you know, the determination. You know, I figured out a way, and I went to a college that offered a commercial helicopter license.
Okay.
And so I thought, boy, they're going to want me in there. And I drove 5 hours to North Bay with a buddy. And I thought, man, I'm looking for a red carpet because they got to be waiting
They're
for me somewhere.
looking for a guy like me.
Yeah. So I did sit down with him there, and he did explain that they get like 300 or 400 applicants, and that they take only 15 applicants a year. And the only guarantee they gave me that day was I wasn't going to be one of those.
You're not in the 15 category.
I was not even close to that 15 category, right? But you know what? They didn't totally kick me out of the building. On that same campus, they had a aircraft engineering program.
Okay.
And they said, you know what? If you show your dedication, you go in there, get your degree, we will let you back into this helicopter program, no questions asked.
Really? Okay.
Problem was I was 18 and it was going to be 4 years. And at 18, 4 years is like an eternity.
It's a lot of your time.
But you know what? 4 years went by. I think I condensed it to 3 years.
Yeah.
They let me back in. No questions asked, just as they promised.
Okay. Yeah.
And
gain the integrity thing. That's good.
Yeah, that's very exactly right. And so I spent an extra year in college in this helicopter program, commercial helicopter program, which is like. And a really well-recognized helicopter program. Okay. So now I could fix the helicopters and I could fly them because of my previous 4 years or 3 or 4
nice,
years. Yeah.
Nice to have those two.
Made you more marketable, right? Because
Absolutely.
getting a job as a new helicopter pilot, it's very tough, right?
So you own your own helicopter now.
I do.
And I watch some of your YouTube videos flying around the country, and it's awesome. I loved helicopters too. And I think that you and I are in a similar age group. You're a little younger than me. I'm a little smarter than you.
Right.
So, I mean, it balances out.
That's a fair shake.
So I love like where you go off fishing, you do all these things. It's something that most people will never get the opportunity to do. So
No, and but there was a little hair on that too, B, because while I had siblings starting this here construction company in the early '80s, I graduated and I'm flying helicopters. And you know what? My mother is bragging to her friends that her youngest son is flying helicopters.
he's brilliant.
Yeah, well, it might be a stretch, but he's not a construction worker like the rest of the family, right?
All of us
And,
others.
and I got to tell you all out there, flying helicopters is like the funnest things you can do with. That's legal, I think, but it sucks because you're never home, and they treat you bad. There's new pilots don't make a lot of money. Yeah. The only thing that kept my job was because I could sign out the aircraft because I had that ticket.
Gotcha.
But you got to look at my mother there when I quit helicopters to work in construction, and now how does she brag to her friends? Like now even though the one that I thought was a shining star or a little educated, he's shoveling dirt.
Yeah. Okay, so listen, you know what? It's really hard. You don't want to disappoint your mom.
No, but and she did live long enough to see it come full circle where the business was a success.
She could brag about you again.
And to answer your question, I do have a helicopter, but I use it as a tool for business, right? Okay. I don't golf, so my golf is like taking people flying, going for lunch, going fishing.
Gotcha. So let's go back to what your core business is. And if we could get an explanation of really what you guys do, because it's actually kind of, people flush the toilet, they turn on the tap, water comes, the toilet flushes, everything leaves. It's a little more complicated than that, though.
I think we finally got a little recognition last summer in Calgary when everybody had to ration their water because of this big feeder main problem on the west side of the city there. So those are the kind of things we install. I don't know how great a look you get at this table. It's a table my son built, and it replicates kind of what we do. But everything that you do, when you turn on that tap, there's a water line coming into your house, and when it goes down that drain, there's a sewer line going out of your house. And underneath the roads you drive on to get to your house, there's a whole mass, it's like the veins in your body. It just goes to a source. Right. And so we have water treatment plants, we have water sources, and from there, these arteries all come off and they're run down the streets. Individual house services to your house.
Right.
Fire hydrants, you'll see the only presence you'll see that we've been there is maybe a fire hydrant and a manhole lid.
Yes.
On the ground. Everything is happening underneath the ground. Sewer is generally gravity, so it's got to have a slope, but it's got to go to a low point. When it can't go to a low point, you have to put in a pump station to pump it up the hill again, kind of thing. So there's so much that we probably can't
get into,
and but yeah, I live on an acreage, and you know what? If I had services like a city, town, village has, I would jump at the opportunity rather than
100%.
Maintaining your well pump, maintaining your septic field, and all this other stuff. So it's just those of you who think your utility bills are high, just feel lucky that you can just flick on a tap and have water.
So, and I mean, that's kind of interesting because I live on an acreage and we're on a water co-op. So that's one great thing. We still have a septic system.
Right.
But so from what you do, I'm always amazed because I know that the slope has to be right. It can't be too steep. It can't be too gentle. Everything has to flow properly. And when you turn on the tap, it's not brown. So you want to have some nice, clean water to drink. And so that's great. I wanted to talk to you about that because that's really what you did out there. Contour gets all the ground the way you want it, and then you guys dig it all up and put stuff in, and then it has to be all fixed again. So I appreciate this, Matt. I think people want to know some of these things, like, how does my water get there? Yeah, I just turn on my tap, it's there. It's a pretty complicated process, and there's a lot involved. So this is where you do maintenance and fix up little things so that things work, hopefully all summer long. I know you have to go out on site normally if something breaks down, right?
Right.
Do you have to ever haul something in here that you?
Yeah, during the summer months there, you'll see these two trucks that we're standing beside there. We've got a couple other ones probably. But, so those are the 911 call out on the site in the summertime, right?
Yeah.
And so generally if something breaks down in the summertime, hopefully these guys can get it fixed and up and running.
Right.
If it gets a little too major there, it's nice to put it in a nice environment where you got a crane and lifting stuff. You can get through bad stages of rain and weather. So
if you can move them.
If you can move them, exactly. Like if it's a dead soldier, that's where it sits, right?
And these aren't easy just to pull onto a trailer.
No, and you've had it too there where they're stuck in a trench, like they're down working and So but there's means to release brakes and do stuff to tow them. So but.
Okay, well, let's see
we
what
can
you
have a
got
walk
in here.
around, and generally there you'd like to see these things parked in here all summer, and buy crib boards for everybody, right? Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen.
No.
So these three just coincidentally track loaders, and these push the dirt back into the trenches.
Okay.
Yeah. And they'll level it off, and the packers will pack it, and they'll kind of bring after you put in the pipe, they bring it up again.
So it looks like you got a tensioner or something that you're fixing here.
They'll this one may be a whole new undercarriage. So like a car, you'll change the tires on tracked equipment. You'll change the track, the rollers, the carrier rollers, idlers. But I'm not sure exactly what this one is doing. But but you did mention tensioner. So once the track is attached, you pump it up and it tightens it up, and away you go. But so this dozer, same kind of thing. It's just instead of a bucket, it's got a blade, but they're just made for pushing dirt back in.
So now, these things can be giant, though.
Oh yeah. This is a D7. They make a D11. Last week we had a bigger excavator in here, and you realize how small your shop is when you bring in a big excavator there. But it's you. How deep do you normally go with your water and sewer? Water lines are all buried approximately 10 feet deep, and that's and they can go uphill, they can go downhill because they're a pressure line,
Doesn't
right?
matter,
But it's the frost that is the reason we have them that deep.
Yeah.
Different parts of the country there, Ontario, they bury them 6 feet, because the frost isn't as prevalent. Vancouver even less. Right. So sewer lines, again, we mentioned that before, they're gravity.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's got to go a long way. We've had them like, what's 14 meters? That's like 40 feet.
Serious?
Oh yeah, and then it's a big hole. It's a big hole, and it takes not one excavator. You'll have a series of several excavators throwing it. Wow. So it's and then you got to put it all in and pack it again. So it's a big undertaking.
Well, that's another thing. I don't think people realize that you can't just put the dirt in.
No.
It has to be compacted to a certain compaction rating, because what we do is minor, but when we're putting our stuff in, I like to use I use washed rock on top because it doesn't
settle.
It doesn't settle.
Right.
So for me, that's important because you're leaving out of a house, and I only have to deal with a short portion, but I don't want it settling. So anyways, a lot of guys, some guys don't compact anything.
No, but you'll notice after the first rainfall, you're
going to see it.
Yeah, the ground doesn't lie to you.
No. Well, let's go outside and see what you got sitting out there.
Okay. All right.
What's this one?
This one here, this is like the lifeline, we call it here. So we've got 2 guys that will jump in this thing every morning and deliver fuel to all the sites. Okay. So the fuel tank's on the front of it, you'll see. In the back in that body is greases, oils on hose reels. Like it's pretty slick. Pretty slick. Antifreeze, DEF fluid. Grease, hydraulic oils.
DEF fluid. Do you like DEF fluid as much as me?
I hate it, and I think it's a waste of time. But that'll be another video. I think we got another political video coming up, maybe.
How many gallons of fuel does this thing?
This one's 2,500 gallons, I think. You'll go through that and maybe a little more a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So these, starting off, these are packers. So you can dig all the dirt you want, but you have to put it all back in. So these track loaders, like you saw in the shop, they'll put it in, and they'll put in maybe, a foot to 15 inches or so.
Yeah.
And then the packers go in there and just pack it.
So these are all sheep's foot?
These are all sheep's foot packers.
Look at that. See?
Yeah, see?
I'm not just a pretty face.
You are. But again, and you don't have to be as skilled an operator to run one of these, but you got to be able to take care of a piece of equipment and not run into things. Like this could kill somebody just as quickly as anything else here.
And you don't want to roll one of these over on a slope.
And you know what? And all of that has happened to us. All of it has. I think we've rolled every type of equipment
everything
you'll
around
see here.
Yeah, I've never rolled anything, but I've been close.
Yeah, so these are all track loaders like you saw in the shop. Another dozer.
Got new teeth on this one?
Brand new teeth,
Okay.
So another dozer. Now that little excavator out back, that's the smallest one we have.
Okay.
And the biggest ones aren't even in the yard because we've already moved them out because the spring bands, the road bands are coming on. And if you don't move them before the road bands come on there, you start taking them apart to get them lighter. So, so anyways, the biggest ones aren't here, but these ones are still 100,000 pounds. Like if they ran over your foot, you'd know it. You'd know it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so various size for various job applications.
So how come you have some Hitachis and...
mostly Hitachi and Deere. Wheel loaders and track loaders are mostly Caterpillar.
Okay.
You know what? The Packers are all Caterpillar, and I just have... They're the best. Okay. I've tried others. And wheel loaders, mostly got a few John Deeres, but mostly are Cat. Track loaders, mostly Cat. Excavators, you know what? When you talk relationships there, Brandt Tractor, they treat me really well.
Okay.
So they're all going to break on you sooner or later. I don't care what kind you buy, but it's important that you have a dealer that works with you there, that if this thing breaks down there and I'm in a bind, I send a truck over to their yard. They give me
get
something.
you something.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, I guess, that people don't realize. Putting this stuff in, what it costs for one of those things to arrive in your... And it doesn't have a bucket, and it doesn't have a... You got to add all that stuff.
So, you know, these medium-sized ones are run around $600,000. The bigger ones, 1.4.
Yeah. So when you turn on your water, there's been a lot of money digging holes to get it there.
Well, and I always say to the operators there too, because these things are worth more than a Ferrari. So every day I give you keys to the Ferrari. Treat it like a Ferrari.
Please.
Doesn't always work. Doesn't always work. You know, it doesn't always work. So, but you know, they're expensive. So.
All right. Wow. I built a house for a guy west of Cochrane, actually, and he rented a hoe to dig some of his holes. But there's a bunch of stone out there.
Yeah.
And anyways, I show up there and he's got this hoe and he's just ramming it into the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and I said, Jesus, that's going to be pretty hard on it. He says, it's a rental. And I thought, oh man.
Oh my.
Yeah. Oh my.
Yeah, you know, and I again, I've seen it all. We've hit rock. We've got big rock breakers that go on these things, like
like a jackhammer type thing?
Like a big hydraulic jackhammer.
Okay. Yeah.
And they're massive. We'll probably see some when we go around here.
All right.
And we talked earlier about how we get equipment to the site, and over here you'll see some of it. Now, we talked about moving bigger equipment before the road bans.
Yeah.
what you see on there are the buckets that come off very quickly, and that's the counterweight for a bigger excavator that we've just moved, I think, today.
Wow.
So we still had to get it lighter
Yeah.
to get down some of those band roads.
Wow. And band roads, that's so what people understand about, they see those signs on the side of the road, 60%, 80%.
Right.
That's how much.
Right. Each group of wheels, like you'll see there, is rated at 100% for X amount of weight.
Right.
During band time there, when you see 75% of it,
Yeah.
that's now you can only carry 75% of that
Yeah.
that X
Gotcha.
value, we'll call it. Here.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
Yeah.
and when you get to the bigger equipment,
Yeah.
you got to start adding on pieces and putting in more wheels, like you'll see here. This is
Yeah.
called the Jeep,
Okay.
a trailer. There's a booster on the back with more wheels. And
Okay.
you distribute the weight so that you can move the big iron.
I gotcha.
This
Okay.
trailer here, it's over 100 feet long, isn't big enough to carry our biggest excavator, and we use contours there. Low bed, more wheels,
Wow.
pilot cars, the whole gambit.
Well, that's it. Again, some of these things, just the logistics involved.
Right.
There's a lot involved just to move this stuff around.
Yeah. No, there is.
And then you got height restrictions, going under bridges, and
Yeah.
okay, yeah, on
Yeah.
and on.
So
wow.
So yeah, and some other those are just decks to carry pipe, buckets, other things.
Yeah.
These are specifically for equipment.
Yeah. I can't believe, yeah, this is probably for stones and stuff to put in the trenches.
So this will go on, actually this one goes on an excavator, but they have the same ones like that one there that goes on the wheel loaders. You got pallet forks,
Yeah.
and it's all hydraulically connected, so now he wants to pick up some pipe, so he'll put these forks on, it locks into place,
Yeah,
moves the pipe,
okay,
then he wants to put gravel on the trench, so he'll put on that, we call it a spoon,
yeah,
and he can reach farther. So it's narrow and long, and he can
Okay.
reach and gravel this wash stone like you said you use.
Okay, yeah.
We use the same around our pipe. And,
Okay.
It stops any rocks from penetrating and breaking the pipe when you throw
Gotcha.
dirt on it, and keeps
Gotcha.
it good. So you got buckets. Those three implements right there for one loader kind of thing.
Wow.
Just like different utensils at your dinner table.
Gotcha.
You know, you pick up the one that works.
Wow. Well, you got quite the operation here, Matt. I'm really glad that we are doing some business together, and I look forward to it being very prosperous for both of us.
I think so, Scott. I hope it will.
Yeah, I hope
You
so
bet.
too. Yeah, thanks.